Welcome, everyone, to Laugh and Learn. I'm Gerald, and today we are continuing the idea of duality pairs. Now, I am fortunate to be joined by a few amazing people. One of them is Linda de Gonzalez. One of them is Maru, Madame Maru's House of Cards. And the person who started all of this is Timy from Raven Tarot Meditation. Now I am going to do this because there we go.
Right. There we go. Balance.
So we've got balance. And if you missed the last episode of this, the link is below. Go watch it. It was so good. We decided to pump the brakes a little bit and allow the conversation to flow and to be more engaging. So in part 2, we're doing the Empress and the Emperor and the Hierophant and the Lovers. So learn with us. Please remember to leave comments. Please show your support to all of the channels, because all of those channels are Raven Tarot Meditation. We have Madame Maru's House of Cards. Some of you may know Maru because she is considered one of the best mods. She's also been on my channel a couple of times. We have Linda de Gonzalez, who, and Wanda. I am TarotStache. Thank you for being here. Can you tell I'm a little jazzed about this?
I can tell.
Okay, because
happy to be here.
Excellent. And so we are going to be talking about duality pairs. Whilst you are contemplating duality pairs, please do that thing where you like and subscribe because it's free. Linda is fancy AF and has a membership on her channel where you can get peach farts, Wanda emojis, other things like that. I mean, I'm not that cool.
You could be.
I could be. Maybe that'll what happened in 2026. Maybe I need to do that. Linda and I do private readings. Maru doesn't do private readings yet.
I haven't, but I'm not opposed to it.
There you go. You heard it here first or second. Timy is excited to do readings, especially around this topic. I have promised Timy what we are going to do is we're going to get through the 10 duality pairs. Then we're going to do a show where we're going to do a reading in action so you can see what this looks like.
Right.
That being said, Timy did come on my channel and did a bit of a reading. At that point, I was very, very vague about what I wanted him to read about because I wasn't ready to talk about it. However, really, really insightful. Did I say this is for entertainment purposes only? Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really.
Yeah.
Showing your support to the channels is really easy. Like, subscribe, share the video. Links are below for you to make donations to show your support. Buy Timy's album.
Yeah.
Buy Timy's album. Maru even has a list of tools shopping list. So Linda's got that, and donations are there. I want to take a second and go, this is awesome.
You're cut off for coffee, Gerald.
No, I'm not. This is only my first cup, and it's not even done. Anna Wright is here. Hello, Anna. Madame Maru is here. Linda de Gonzalez. Beth is cooking, and backstage we were all like going, oh man, she's killing us. It's garlic chicken with potatoes, eggplant, carrots, and onions, but we have been corrected. It's garlic lemon chicken.
Oh.
Smell it.
Baked cardamom biscotti. if she's in the mood. River has joined us. Thank you, River. Pamela Batchelor.
Sounds
And,
very Iranian.
What is the cardamom?
The meal that she's making. Garlic
Oh.
lemon.
Mediterranean, yes.
Yeah, very Mediterranean.
I wonder if Maru, when I head out there to look at the quilt museum and visit Beth, should I swing by and pick you up first?
Absolutely.
Okay. There you go. You heard it here first. Design is here. Look, One Bright Feather. Lori has joined us. Kristen Louise, hello. And by the way, I don't know if you saw the show that we did yesterday. Linda de Gonzalez, Purple Elephant Deb H, and I did on grief and mourning. It was really good, and all of you best chatters brought it. It
Yeah.
was also there where we realized that Pamela and Timy get along quite well. I would not want to have them in the back seat while I'm driving.
Yeah. See, it should be me, Pamela, and Selena from
Essence of the Moon, yes.
yeah, we would do pranks, we would do rude gestures to other people in the other cars. All that stuff would be happening.
Scream out the window.
There you go. Yes.
Mooning. I think mooning might
I was just
occur.
thinking that. No, just
I was too. I was too.
We'll sit in the back of the station wagon. You know that there's the seats that point in the other direction.
We had a station wagon, and
We
that's
did
where
too.
I had to sit as a kid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like a little roasting oven. You
Yep.
you get roasted back there.
Irene is here. Russ Bob's. Oh no, wait a minute. Barbara. I think that's Russ Bob's Barbara. Soul Star. Hello. It's good to see you. It's Josh. Joseph IT guy. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Fellow
So
IT guy.
yeah. So yeah. Beth says we can come and visit her.
Yay.
Cool.
And don't get me started. Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get you started.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Free Spirit is here. So Timy, you had some enlightened ideas, or you had some insights from the last show. I wanted to give you an opportunity to share those.
Yeah, the magic occurred again. You know, it's the magic of being honest with other people. The thing that I repeat is being honest with yourself without exception, and as a general rule, be honest with the people around you. And that's a pathway for the things that you want, need, and love to come to you naturally, rather than you chasing things that are running away from you. So when you're honest with the people around you, life just works so much more smoothly. So I'm writing this book, and I'm sharing this information with the tarot community and with Maru and Linda and Gerald, and they're helping me refine the ideas, and it's making it better. And Linda helped out a couple weeks ago with the relationships duality, and Maru helped out with the definition label of what I chose to be inward flowing energy and outward flowing energy. And that's kind of how I tend to write, you know, very technical and sort of Einsteinian physics based.
Mm-hmm.
But Maru came up with the suggestion that perhaps it should be expressive energy and receptive energy. And at first I didn't really accept it, because I'm like, well, I think because the point was to be less of a hot button for you know, sexuality during the discussion.
Gender, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, you know, inward flowing and outward flowing is just as like sexually agnostic as receptive and expressive. So I kind of said, well, maybe whatever, you know. But after I watched, am I a narcissist for having watched that episode from last week 5 times?
No.
No.
Because
No.
when I'm in the middle of it, I can't hear everything, you know, and
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, of
cognate
course.
everything.
That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. It's a good thing to do. I find it hard to watch myself. So if you
I
can
do as
watch
well.
yourself, you know, 5 times in a row, like, holy, I'm in awe. I can only watch myself in little bits and pieces. it
Wow.
it
Well, you know,
just
and part of it is technical too. I love like making the next experience better. So I'm like, well, I got to get a better camera, one that'll do autofocus, you know, and crap like that. But anyway, the after I watched it a bunch of times, I'm like, receptive and, you know, expressive are perfect, elegant, far more nuanced labels for what I was trying to convey at the bottom of the tree there. So thank you, Maru. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
We have from IT guy, of course. Anyhow, you have such a wonderful group with you, Gerald. Each have
poor man.
too much love coming from them, and I'm like, I don't know if there's such a thing as too much love.
No, not so.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
love is not finite.
It is not. So
I'm thinking he just meant so much love.
So much love. Okay.
SOO. So.
Yeah.
So much love. And so, yes, there you go. You, Maru was right. Maru is always right.
Another always right one.
Yes. So, Timy, would you like me to put the overlay up?
Yeah. Let's start there. Okay. So I've edited this, and actually I like to make things simpler usually, but this one it added a little bit of complication. But what it really does is it adds a lot of clarity, though, because we went over the first duality pair, which is the magician and the high priestess. So if you look at the chart and you see the "you are here" label in the middle there, and it's pointing right there at that little dot in the middle. Right to the left of the dot, which is you, is receptive energy. And I think that's a better label rather than inward flowing energy, receptive energy. And that's also congruent with the philosophical meaning of the cards of the magician and the empress. I think everybody agrees that the magician has receptive energy and the high priestess has receptive energy. And from my perspective, it also shows that it's the inward flow. It's your inner thoughts. It's those things that are represented by the first duality, which we choose to call receptive energy. And in Eastern philosophies, it's yin energy, and it's the same thing, receptive yin energy. And that's the energy that is fueled by the dualities of relationships, the duality of motivation, and the duality of humility. You can see those over on the left-hand side. And then the one we're going to discuss today is the other side, which is expressive energy or outward flowing energy. And expressive energy is perfect. You know, it's energy that flows from the middle and, flows from the middle out. It's like the sun, expressive yang energy. And that's represented by the second pair of the Marseille Tarot, which is the third card, which is the Empress, and the fourth card, which is the Emperor. That's your expressive energy. That's the archetype that represents your expressive energy. Mm-hmm. And what this also did is it helped me clarify my thoughts on the world of manifestation duality pair, which is all the way at the bottom. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fifth duality, which is the middle point, right? 1 through 10. And this is the middle point, the duality that represents the world of manifestation. And what I see now is the pair of the Empress and the Emperor, expressive energy, that fuels the expressive manifestation of the Wheel of Fortune. Your outward flowing energy, your expressive energy is represented by the archetype of the Wheel of Fortune. And then your receptive energy, which is your inward flowing energy, your inward thoughts, is fueling your receptive manifestation, which is the Hermit. And that's the fifth duality, the Hermit and the Wheel of Fortune. Mm-hmm. But we're going to focus on the Emperor and the Empress, which is the second duality. We did the first last week. And then we're also going to try to see if we can get to relationships, which is the third duality.
So we're talking about right here. We did this one. And we had a couple of comments that were that Linda had highlighted that are important before we go forward. Sorry if you discussed this last time, but I'm interested, a bit quizzical, about Earth being assertiveness.
That confuses me. I'm not sure where I put
Your
Earth being
in
assertive.
your elements labels, you have each element with a different property next to it.
I understand now. Yeah. Well, the four dualities in the middle seem to me to be special dualities, because whenever I would do self card reads using the duality interpretation, 70% of my issues, challenges fell within those four in the middle, which is relationships, assertiveness, motivation, and decisions. So I decided that perhaps those are primal dualities. And for example, relationships, which is the Hierophant and the Lovers, seem to me to represent the suit of cups, or the element of water. And the one above that, which is fire, seemed to represent the duality of motivation, which is the Hanged Man and strength. That seemed to be fire to me. And then decisions was air or swords, and then assertiveness was the earth element. And I also chose the color green for that. So to be honest with you, that's something that I've added in the last month or so, and it's something that we can discuss as a topic, because it just seemed they very neatly fit in there. The first one that I saw was relationships, and I'm like, this could be like the suit of cups, and then the other four right in the middle seemed to pretty well match up with the different elements and the different suits of the tarot, and the fact that they're all human beings. There isn't any mix of like the world of manifestation, where it's a wheel spinning with little creatures on it, versus a hermit, which is a human figure. The four in the middle, where all the action seems to be, they're all human dualities. And it seemed to me that they were special. They were different than the other six. So I added that element in there, and I thought we could discuss it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they are different than the other six. But, when you talk about earth, to me, earth is endurance and stability. It's not expressive. It's receptive. It's
Earth is supposed to be like this slow, sort of waiting.
Yeah, it provides the medium for expression. So it's that in which the seeds grow and come out. Okay. It endures. It is the same. It's Taurus.
How about if we looked at it as, rather than a earth element, how about if we looked at it as pentacles? Does assertiveness have anything to do with pentacles suit?
Well, I think as far as
why assertiveness,
having an earth action happening, like it's like making your intentions real, is how I think you're meaning it. Like bringing them into existence, kind of like in a physical
Possibly.
way.
Yeah, as I mentioned, that's a topic ripe for discussion. And I added that in there
and
as something to spur discussion.
Yes. And Timy, on the fifth time that you rewatch the show, write that down, because I agree with you. I think it is a very opportune topic for discussion, especially because when you write the book, it's going to say the first thing you need to do is write the book, read the whole book, and then start analyzing it. So
yeah,
I hear you.
The first thing that struck me was the suit cards,
Of course, because
and it seemed like, wow, this matches too. It seems like it matches, especially like decision making in swords and air seemed to match to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That is I agree. That is an absolutely.
And then the Hierophant and the Lovers being cups seemed natural as well. but I don't know. We're going to get
We'll get there.
We'll discuss it. Yeah. But why don't we do the Emperor and the Empress?
Traditionally, the Hierophant is considered earth, and the Hanged Man is considered water. And yes, Linda, Taurus is the Hierophant, the story of the earth.
Yeah.
So, we'll get there. We'll get there. So
yeah.
So we're looking right now at the Duality 2.
Right.
The Empress and the Emperor. And there's a picture of them. Ignore my extra notes.
Right.
He writes in books.
I do. And so there was part of, as you had described it initially, outward expression versus, feminine outward expression versus masculine outward structure. The Empress nurtures, creates, and expands. The Emperor organizes, protects, and defines. Together, they suggest the interplay of I can't even read that, and governance. Sorry.
Yeah.
My stuff clicked off. My printer. Yes, Linda, I do print because I walk on stuff. I write on stuff.
Yeah. So this
that was a real book.
Go ahead.
Not
Timy.
yet, but it's coming.
Yes.
So second duality.
Second duality. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Here.
Sorry.
Let's all do this. Here we go. This section of the video is brought to you by the word vapid. Everyone say it with me. Vapid. Vapid. Lacking flavor, zest, interest, animation, or spirit. Flat. Dull. Don't be vapid. Just like, share, and subscribe to our channels. Vapid.
Very nice.
You are not vapid, and certainly this conversation is not.
Nope.
So,
I have experience with being vapid, though. I've done that on occasion.
ooh,
It's
that's
protective coloration.
that's a story for a different show, kids.
Yeah. It's a good protective coloration.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could consider it expressive energy, being intentionally vapid in order to get people to stop bothering you at a party or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, last week we talked about receptive energy, which was illustrated by the magician and the high priestess.
Mm-hmm.
So inner receptive energy, and the duality there has many levels, but one of the dualities is biological male versus biological female.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, vapid chest. And then the second duality pair, which is the Empress and the Emperor, is also biological male, biological female representations of expressive energy, outward flowing energy. So those are the two first primal dualities, and they are like the master volume of your receptive energy, the left side of your brain, and your expressive energy, which is the right side of your brain. And these two dualities are your master volume for those two types of energy, and the other three dualities on each side, on the expressive side, we have this assertiveness, decision making, and insight. Those fuel your expressive energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the left-hand side, it's humility, motivation, and relationships. Those dualities fuel your receptive energy. So this ironically, we're beginning with the most complicated part of the tree. After we get past these two, it gets a lot easier because then it's just a representative duality. But these two have the added complication of being, nested dualities. And also, these are the parts that address the biological male and the biological female part. And as we discussed last week, I didn't want the biological sexuality part to be the foundational part of any of this philosophy, because I don't think that that's reflective of actual real life. Sexuality is a secondary thing. I think on the level that we're discussing, on a human philosophical level, we're discussing inward flowing energy, receptive energy, versus outward flowing energy, which is expressive energy. And as Gerald mentioned last week, we're talking about dualities, which define things by extremes. So none of this is suggesting that you should be anywhere near the extremes in your life. The beauty of the whole duality interpretation is that you define the challenges in your life into one of the dualities, and then that immediately begins helping you figure out what your next right move is, and you can do card reads on that send you in the right direction. And that's how I've been using it. And to me, it's very helpful. And I think that this information has been around for centuries at the very least. But I don't think that this interpretation is either in style anymore, or it's been intentionally occulted for some reason. But it seems too obvious once you start looking at it this way. And we're having really interesting conversations with this being the topic. And what it does is it draws additional meaning from the individual cards by putting them in pairs.
Yes.
And I think it's really fascinating.
I think for me, Empress and Emperor are a perfect pair. They are a perfect duality.
Yeah.
Foundationally, that is how I learned tarot. The Empress is doing all of this with it, takes control and is able to manage everything within the structure that is created by the Emperor. And the Emperor is the one who's figuring out, all right, if you think about it as a kingdom, where's my kingdom? Where are the borders? Who's in the kingdom and who is not? Where are we developing relationships outside of the kingdom? The Empress is the one who has total understanding of how everything within the kingdom works.
If you think about it from a tarot card perspective, the Emperor would be the line work and the Empress would be the colors.
Yes.
Very nice.
Perfect.
And on that note, we'll move on to the next stuff. Well done, Maru. No, I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's interesting to think about it. What's part of the concept, I think, that's being communicated with these dualities is that we are genetically born usually pointing in one direction or the other. We're usually, either a genetic male or a genetic female, but there's all variations in between. But the lesson of the dualities, the lesson of the tarot, is that the extremes are not where success is. It's the balance point between the extremes is the success point. That's the place where happiness lives, where prosperity lives. That's where it's way easier to move forward and succeed because you're on a balanced path, as opposed to starting off on the wrong foot with everything, which is the way my life used to be. And people may resonate with that. And the tarot, these duality pairs, help me do card reads because it helps me organize my thoughts, and it helps me target where the real problem is, because and it helps when you start doing card reads, either you as the self reader or as, you know, you reading for a querent or somebody reading for you as the querent, it makes you reject automatic thinking and being in a rut and always indulging the same bad habits and bedevilments. And to me, there's also an esoteric mystical element to it as well. You know, it's tapping into our immortal root. It's tapping into our spirit. You know, I think, you know, we were talking in the green room before the show. Actually, it was the other group that I was, not the artist group that I'm with. You know, they feel a change coming on, you know, and it's informing their art. And they feel like, you know, it's the age of Aquarius, you know, things are changing, new things are being revealed. And I think that's the spirit side of the human race. And there's a fight between our animal side and our spirit side. It's happening right now. And the spirit side is going to win, but no win is without damage, you know? So this is a time of, you know, honesty is really what it is. This is a time for honesty, and it's a time for spirit, embracing our spirit, not our animal instincts.
Yeah. And Pluto's here to boot our asses to make sure that that's what happens, bringing up all kinds of stuff that's been hidden.
Yeah. We have a couple of comments that I want to put up. Discussion is so interesting. Feel like I'm in a master class. Boom. There we go.
Thank you.
Beth has asked, Timy, when you read tarot for yourself or others, do you read it with duality as your foundation, i.e. integrating these ideas into the reading?
Exactly so. Yes, that's what I do. I start out discovering which duality is at hand, and there's 10 of them to choose from. And that's half the conversation, either with myself or the times when I've done a reading for someone else. The discussion on which duality is at hand is half the battle to figuring out what your next correct move is, you know, and
Yes.
that is intentional. There's nothing random about that. You know, I go through the deck, I have all 10 pairs separated out, the major arcana separated out. And then as we're discussing the issue, it's like, well, maybe it's decision making. Like with Gerald, I think the one that we did with you, it was between, is it decision making or is it motivation? And we discussed it, and you had already made the decision. And that was part of the discovery process for you, because you really hadn't consciously accepted that yet, that you had already made the decision. But your motivation was strong. That was solid. And as I was interviewing you or discussing the question, figuring out which duality was at hand, that came out. And I heard you say it, but you kind of almost unconsciously said it. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. So you've already made the decision. And you went, you know, I guess I have. And then, you know, we did the focus card, the court card that was the archetype of manifestation, the type of energy you should use for change. And it was the King of Swords, as I recall.
Yep.
The King of Swords we pulled.
Yes.
And then we did the pips cards. We did the numbers cards. And that showed a past and present framework of some of the situation that you recognized.
Yes.
You know, the original question itself. And you're like, yes. And it just gives you confidence that you're going in the right direction. You know,
this is a thoughtful question, Beth. For anyone who does readings of any kind, having a solid question is critical to getting a helpful response.
Yeah.
So Beth also said it's been around, but perhaps not presented cohesively like this.
Maybe, you know,
Pamela,
we all fantasize about digging up buried treasure, and that's what this feels like to me.
Pamela said maybe like outward flowing energy being the past and inward flowing energy being the present. One does not exist without the other.
I think these dualities fuel each other. I think that's what makes the universe spin.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like hopping on one leg versus stepping with each foot.
Yes.
You can go twice as fast with 2 feet, as long as you don't fall down.
I was just gonna say.
And it's like the middle path or the middle way. The further we get from the center, the harder it is to get back. the goal should be to surf the energy and follow.
Mhm.
I do think if you were always balanced, it might be a little boring. However,
Safe.
it is safe. There's no opportunity to learn and to refine.
Mm,
I have a comment.
yeah. Go ahead.
Imagine the progression. We strive for spiritual awakening, right? And we're on the path to spiritual awakening. And from what I'm seeing with this duality interpretation, the path to spiritual awakening is the path of balance through 10 separate dualities. And that'd be quite a flex to be able to simultaneously, in parallel, balance all 10 dualities. And perhaps that is the key that allows you to go through the portal to spiritual enlightenment. However, imagine now you're spiritual enlightened. Perhaps you're a part of the quantum field. Perhaps you're floating in bliss. What do you think might be the end point of that? It might be boredom. It might be boredom.
Well, I find that
everything
the
is unified as
frequency of
one.
the oscillation increases as you go through the dualities. Like the intensity of the experience will increase. You'll have higher highs and lower lows.
As you go through the path of the journey of spiritual
Duality.
awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course it oscillates.
Yeah.
But my point was that
No, but she's not talking about it oscillates. She's talking about the rate of variation between the high and the low, or the variation is much greater. The higher the vibration, the greater the variance between the high and the low. Okay. The higher, so your highs are going to be really high. Your lows are going to be like the bottom of the ocean, the Marianas Trench of lows. The closer you get to enlightenment. Holy shit, that blows my mind.
yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think you see lots of discussions of people that have achieved some plateau of spiritual enlightenment, and then they become bored, and all their old friends aren't interesting anymore, and people wonder why that is. And my original point is sort of my reflections on what the beginning of life was. Perhaps everything that exists was one homogeneous, one thing, everything that exists. And that might be boring, that might be bliss, but it might be boring. And then we split into two, and that created the duality universe. And now we're trying to go back to unity again. I think about that sometimes.
Isn't that like the Hindu theory of the universe, is that God got bored, so he made everything so he could experience everything?
We can live in this sensual universe where we can feel.
We are the universe talking to itself, learning about itself.
Yeah. Once again, we can only move as fast as we all can move.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beth has also said, in yogic terms, Dhrutya is stability and Shukta is ease. So once you find your stability, the body can open.
Yeah.
This is balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things accelerate in the right direction once you find that stability. You're no longer fighting yourself.
See, I don't see how that's boring. That when you get to when you get to balance in all things, then you become one with everything.
I just wonder about it.
Burger, okay, you become one.
What would
with
that
everything.
be like?
Yeah, I can't see how that would be boring.
I've just had so many experiences in my life where the grass was greener on the other side of the fence, and I'm like, oh, spiritual enlightenment, that would be interesting. But then I think, well, what would that really be like? Would I be floating in bliss, in nirvana, and nothing changes? I might not like that. But presumably I would be beyond.
How could nothing change when you're one with everything? How could nothing change? It's all change.
Mind blown.
Because we exist in time. Things are changing every moment.
Yes. Yes.
On purpose.
That's the key.
So the Dalai Lama is boring?
Yeah, I know.
See, I say the provocative thing, and then everybody ribs me. Boring Dalai Lama. Eh?
Well, I think what's interesting is, what do you do before enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? Chop wood and carry water.
Yeah.
There are
Physical existence doesn't cease in all cases.
Yeah. That's an AA thing too. People say once I get sober, all my problems will be solved, and they find out zero of the problem. Well, one problem is solved. You're not drinking anymore, but you got 100,000 other ones.
But that drinking was a coping mechanism. So you have to find
it's
another way of
definitely a step
solving your
forward.
problems.
Yeah, it's a step forward. But, like you said, you still got to chop the wood after spiritual enlightenment.
I want to go back to this. We can only move as fast as we can all move. So if I'm moving fast, the world isn't moving as fast as me. I can get to a certain place. Then the world shifts.
Wait for
and I
everyone
can
to catch
start
up.
moving. And there's this, there's a balance in it. This is definitely the expressive energy, and thinking about the looking at this this duality too. I mean, and Iron Firehorse said, my kids have found it hard because they know new people were doing bad things, but getting ahead and considered good people in society, while at the same time, good, honest people are beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long conversation right there. Just that one topic right there.
And here you go. I'm sorry your back hurts from all the chopping and carrying. Mine does as well.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I will say, though, if you go back to the previous comment from Iron Firehorse, that is exactly the type of situation where you can do a duality card read and get some practical advice on how to improve, where you're not an honest person getting beat, and you're not an honest person that can't get ahead. Because, another thing I learned through the AA experience is that, you're at least half responsible for everything in your life, at least half, even the bad stuff that you consider to be a random event that life hands you. We have to put work energy into getting things to improve in our life,
Mm-hmm.
and those are not truisms. Honest people are not destined to fail, and bad people are not destined to succeed. That's not a true statement.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it happens a lot.
I think animal instincts win in the short term often, and that's how we see bad people winning and being resentful of that,
Well, I mean, we don't have to look far to see brilliant examples of that very thing around us and celebrated in the media. But I think that it's important to remember that that's temporary and fundamentally unsatisfying.
And also,
it's cognitive dissonance.
Follow the rules and balance.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Cognitive dissonance, which cannot last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
Okay, so the Empress and the Emperor, the expressive yang energy, they embody the active dualities of assertiveness, decisions, and insight. What I find very helpful about that, so assertiveness, decisions, and insight, they're both embodied in these two cards, the Empress and the Emperor. They are demonstrated differently. One is not better than the other. Both aspects of it are necessary.
Right. And we embody both of those two styles of getting expressive energy done within each one of us. we can lean more toward our emperor style of expressive energy, regardless of your sexuality, your biological sexuality. And we can also, if we're balanced, lean into the empress side style of expressive energy. And those that have the balance to be nimble and lean into either side are the ones that are the happiest. You know, that's the path of success. That's the path of happiness. To be able to do both, not to be an extreme example of one or the other.
Yeah.
Creativity needs order, and order needs creative expression.
They don't exist without the other. If you have both, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability to wield each of those superpowers appropriately, then a lot of other people will benefit from that.
Yeah.
I believe when we are in balance, people around us experience it. They may not realize what's going on. It does impact them, however.
Yeah.
Dancing on both sides of that line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it and those first two dualities were so hard to figure out. And I'm sure that there's nuances and aspects that we haven't even uncovered yet. But that's all new philosophy for me. You know, I was taught that I was born a guy and I am supposed to do guy things, and I think like a guy and I'll die a guy, and it's real important to be a guy. And there, and I'm not even talking about sexuality. I'm just talking about, you know, daily lifestyle.
Gender expectations. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand exactly.
Gender
expectations. And what this duality interpretation proves to me, and I've implemented it in my own life, is that, you know, expressive energy is important. You got to have half of your life devoted to expressive energy, and receptive energy is equally important. You need to have half of your life devoted to receptive energy. And when you lean on one and neglect the other, that leads to failure in your life, to difficulty, you know, from slight difficulties to really extreme failure, you know, depending on how unbalanced you are. And that's a new concept for me. You know, I thought I'm like Popeye the Sailor Man. I am what I am, and I'll always be what I am. And I have to work around that. But the truth is, I can be anything that I want. You know, I'm the one restricting myself from being anything.
You are the one. You may be the one restricting yourself. However, the cultural expectations and the upbringing are also limiting your innate access to these various aspects, the duality.
In your formative years, you take those things to be true, and you assume that that's the way life is, and there's no changing it.
Yeah, and then you find out, oh, look.
Well, then you start having life experiences, and these things don't quite match up, or they seem unfair. And fairness and justice is a spiritual attribute, not an animal attribute.
That's right.
And when you feel something is unjust or something is unfair, that's not the animal in you that's reacting. That's your eternal, immortal spirit that's being offended. And that intuition should be followed. That's how we know when things are wrong. You know, you see somebody abusing a dog when you're young, and it makes you feel horrible. That's not something that you learned from your parents. You know, that's something that's inside of you already. That's your immortal spiritual side.
I need to put this up. Pamela says men have a much more difficult time expressing their feminine sides in society than women. That is absolutely true. Yeah. Because what strength appears to be strong, well, when in fact vulnerability is actually a sign of great strength, because it allows the community to support you. It allows you to have an opportunity to get some insight and get checked. So yes, Pamela, I agree with that.
I do.
And that's motivation, strength versus the hanged man.
Yes. What were you saying, Linda?
No, just that I agree with Pamela as well, and that for all that I give you guys a hard time, patriarchy and everything. I genuinely feel for the damage that has been inflicted on men by the patriarchy,
Mhm.
because it's so difficult. It's so difficult for men in a different way than it is for women, but it's left men emotionally crippled. And oh, sorry, is that a bad word? Emotionally
I think crippled
stunted.
implies can never be fixed.
Well,
Maybe
stunted.
damaged.
Stunted. Yeah, and damaged, and really half of what they could be potentially.
Mhm. Yeah. Beth
I have
said,
a snarky little comment, if you don't mind.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, go ahead, go do it. Yeah.
Well, you see, everyone's a woman in the beginning.
Yes.
We all start out female in the womb. So
Yeah.
men have to keep reminding themselves that they're not female anymore. Women have 2 X's. Men lost one of their little legs and it came out elsewhere. And they're very proud of that little leg.
This is genetic DNA comedy.
that's hilarious.
It is very damn funny.
Yeah, that's a story they tell around the campfire.
While you're farting, eating beans.
Lighting farts. I'm lighting my farts.
Wow.
Daniel and I were watching Blazing Saddles the other day, and I was like, how did they not just explode? They're open flame.
Yeah, all that ignitable gas.
Flatulence.
I am okay. So Beth said, as we grow up, I think it's important to question almost everything we were taught.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's all not working, but a lot of it is projected or political BS.
And usually that's done when you're a teenager. Those are the rebellious years, right? When you just say, the heck with everything, and this is all bullshit, and you're out march, well, at least in the 70s anyway. No, it's yeah, that's what the teenage years are for, is to examine everything you were taught.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to figure out who you are outside of the family unit and what your parents have said. Pamela said the patriarchy is hard on women and men. I feel very sorry for all of us who have been judged and hurt by the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, Pamela. I think women are even better at expressing their masculine energies than men are expressing their female.
Well, and maybe not a perfect example, but a simple example of this is there was outrage when women started wearing trousers. But it didn't last very long, and women kept wearing trousers, and eventually it died off. For men to wear skirts when they're not Scottish and it's a kilt, for men to wear skirts or robes or dresses, that's punished a lot more by men and women alike. Social punishment, a lot more.
Yes. Oh, yes. I like this thought from Pamela. We are all on the duality slide, just simply being human.
Yeah. And I like what Beth has to say too. Yeah.
Teenagers.
It's an automatic rebellion. It's absolutely without thought. It's just automatic. It's a reflex. It's not thought out at all.
Yeah. Teenagers rebel without thought for the most part. Questioning should be a lifelong process because we add life experience and wisdom to the mix. Yeah. Which goes back to that idea of chop wood, carry water.
Yeah.
Are we still chopping wood and carrying water the same way when we first started? Goodness, I hope not.
Get a better axe and a bigger bucket.
And sharpen that axe. Yes.
Yeah.
Linda, we can thank Coco Chanel for getting women out of corsets.
Yeah.
She had her good points.
Yeah,
she did have
was.
her good points.
Yeah.
And
Jersey knits was another one.
Yes.
I have a comment
I'm
to
sorry,
make also about the plain physics of when you oppress and suppress, it causes eventually an explosion. So I think that's why women have more expression of the things that they've been denied for so long.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because men don't really acknowledge that denial of their own
Yeah, they think they're in charge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the benefits are there, right? Like they get the benefits from whatever, from the system that hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The patriarchy hurts all of us because it's not real life for anyone.
Yeah. That's right. Benefits or no benefits. It's
But
not.
I remember last week, though, I forget who mentioned it, but they said that the younger generation is less extreme than my generation is about sexual roles.
Mm-hmm.
And in my generation, I'm the last of the boomers. I was born in 1964. I think 65 is the last of the boomers. And there's like 3 generations after me. And, you know, the latest generation, you know, they've been, I don't know what the word would be. I mean, their opinions have been tempered by time. You know, I think the culture is slowly changing back to a more balanced direction, you know, and like you said, Maru, the reaction of female rights in general is the pendulum swinging back in the other direction, because, you know, 100 years ago, women were really repressed. I mean, you couldn't vote, you couldn't own property, you know, it was very medieval.
Yeah.
Now the pendulum's swimming in the other direction, you know?
Yeah.
I think teenagers today, like kids who are teenagers now at the present moment who are in high school, apparently they're much more androgynous.
Yes. And I think, you know, white patriarchal power steps on so much talent. This is part of that. It's tapping down. It's controlling. It's removing the joy and the connections, the authentic connections that are trying to come through. And as we're looking at the dualities, there needs to be this balance. Without that balance, we're not able to have art. We're not able to have creative scientists, quantum physicists who are, you know, when they figure out what's going on. I think this is a really an interesting thing.
Without creativity, there's no life at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other. And these terrible swings from one extreme to the other, it restrains us from progressing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someday our culture, our society will be far more balanced, and all these wild extremes will not be present in everyday life. You know, it just won't naturally be, because people won't know that it's personally damaging to you to cling to extremes.
Extremes never help. There's always a swing back. There is always, that the pendulum has to swing in another direction.
Yeah. I'm always reminded of those monkeys that the alpha monkeys all took the poison meat and they died, and then the rest of the group got along a lot better without them.
Got to wipe out those alphas every once in a while. They get too big.
Yeah.
You know, 800-pound gorillas are no fun.
I do think what's interesting, you want to put that up?
Yeah.
Micro example of the effects of suppression. Omaha had a growing jazz scene and then committed one of the worst lynchings in history. The talent went to Kansas City and Chicago.
And it's a classic example.
There you go.
brain drain.
So when we're looking at the dualities, yeah, we were talking about this duality too, the expressive yang energy, which embodies the active dualities of assertiveness, decisions, and insight. The assertive is pushing forward to meet obstacles. It is decisive, making choices that bring order and structure, that help us find the balance. It is insightful, acting upon a clear vision of what is to be. Their combined energy is what allows potential to become a concrete reality. This active outward flow is how free will moves from an internal concept to a tangible force in the world. In case you're wondering where this comes from, it comes from the book that Timy is writing.
Yeah.
That's
Me and
why
my
we're here.
handy AI assistant. Much more eloquent than me, but all the information comes from me. AI suck at original thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to be honest
no,
with you.
it's very good at polishing and organizing what you want to put together, and then you just go through and edit it, you know. to
Mhm.
suit
So there's this, you know, we go back to this idea of duality. The expressive energy, the expressive yang energy. It's, you know, is it Empress? Is it Emperor? It don't matter. I'm going to say that again for those of you who are in the back of the theater. It doesn't matter which one it is. Both need to exist. They have to be in balance. Because if we are too too assertive in one side of it, if I'm out there, you know, for this idea of the emperor going with the kingdom thing, going out and spending time outside of the kingdom could actually implode
collapse. Yeah.
and collapse. That's why there has to be this delicate balance. It doesn't matter who is going out and creating that structure or the foundations. It doesn't matter who is managing the contents of that environment. What matters is that both are being done in balance and in union to have this clear vision of where they want to go.
And add to that the balance between your expressive energy, the Emperor and Empress, should be balanced with your receptive energy, represented by the Magician and the High Priestess. You shouldn't only engage in expressive energy stuff.
Correct.
Making decisions, you know, asserting yourself and gathering insight, gathering war information so you can succeed again. You know, if you only do that, that's a path to failure. Half of the time you have to be balanced with receptive energy, because if you engage in assertiveness without thinking of the relationships that are going to be affected, then your outcome will be it'll be an outcome that you don't plan on. It'll be a failure of an outcome. And that's one of the things with the dualities in the elemental part in the middle. Relationships are directly across from assertiveness. Motivation is directly across from decisions. The one informs the other. The receptive energy is the beginning of the thought. How are my relationships going to be affected when I assert myself in this particular way? They go hand in hand, you know, and so do expressive energy, Emperor and Empress, versus receptive energy, Magician and High Priestess.
I have a perfect example of a fail. The Texas State Fair. I saw a video on it. They built this huge structure and nobody's there. It's empty of life because the thing that would have brought people in was out of reach. The food was too expensive. The tickets, the parking, it's all too expensive, and people aren't showing up.
Oh, yeah. It's a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's no reception. There's no, drawing in. You have to give people a reason to want to show up.
Yeah. That's a perfect example of pushing too far on one extreme. It's like whoever put that show together was not thinking about the reason why people would be there in the first place, which is to have fun in an inexpensive way and, hang out. Let's bring a whole family, let's bring all 10 of us,
Yeah, because they're supposed to be for family, aren't they?
Yeah. Instead, somebody said, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. We're going to build a whole brand new building and it's going to cost $1 jillion. So we'll make that up by just charging $150 per ticket, and fail.
Yes. Which again goes to the idea of there has to be a balance. It could have been a very successful show. It could have been a great draw if these other things had been recalled and remembered. So,
right. Lack of insight, bad decision making, asserting yourself in an unbalanced way equals the Texas State Fair.
Irene says, when do you think your book will be available, Tim?
Oh, I wish it was available tomorrow, but
we have to
really
go through all the duality pairs at least.
And I'm really learning so much by going through this with this group. I really don't want to finalize anything because my ideas keep being refined.
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, good.
Maybe beginning of next year, that might be a possibility.
Finish your thought, Linda. It's a very good, that is the point.
Yeah, well, I thought so. I thought that was the point of us doing this, was to help you refine your ideas about this book so that the book would be as good as you could possibly make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Practical,
so I'm in no
not
hurry.
Just theoretical.
Huh?
What's
Sorry?
that?
I said practical, not just theoretical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, theory is really nice, but practice is where it's at.
I believe the same will happen to AI at some point.
What?
Yes, it will.
What will
the balance?
Happen? Oh,
the balance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, guess what, kids? This is available as a podcast because you're going to be wanting to listen to this. We got through pair number 2, not pair number 2 and 3. So part 3 is going to be happening next week, to which we will talk about the Hierophant and the Lovers. A color me
a good
surprise.
Conversation.
It's going to be a good one.
That would be intimate relationships of the lovers versus broad social relationships illustrated by the Hierophant. And Linda's nuance that intimate relationships does not mean sexual relationships. It could mean intellectual, intimate relationships. And that was something that escaped me, but that needed to be reflected.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Beth said, Timy, you, like all of us, will be refining your thoughts about this for a long time. If you don't publish a book based on that, it won't be published. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to publish it in a reasonable period of time. But how much fun is
this?
this?
That balance point, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you buy the book, you can watch the podcast and your chats will possibly spur a conversation that'll be included in the book.
Yeah.
Yes. A valuable takeaway is that the patriarchy isn't the men we love in our lives.
Yes.
It is the society we live in with religion at the core.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. It's the society we live in. It's the religion. It's the
defined roles and the expectations.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true, Pamela.
Beth does bring up, it says, I've always seen duality in the lovers and the devil. And boy, these are what Timy has set up is one way of looking at this. It's a way to find structure. Here, I'll say it. It's a way for you to find duality and to find your balance in understanding it. Because we are human and we dabble in the quantum energy and the quantum field, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to be, yeah, well, maybe there's a duality here and here. Maybe there's a duality there and 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 there. I just don't, I think what would be really important, I have to remember this, is to go, let's just get the basics first and then see what it looks like in action. I think that's
the web of duality.
The web of duality. And Beth said, actually, I would say it is the men we love. We are all victims of the way we are raised. Therein lies one of the biggest obstacles to feminism. Ugh, people.
Mm.
Why are people?
Yeah. I just, you know what I want is I just want everybody to have pockets if they want pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be happy with women making the decisions for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Fair's fair.
Come to
I think,
me. Come after
honestly, we need both to be equally in charge. This is the point.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, how about a duality? The presidency can be a female and a male.
Exactly.
There you go.
The duality is in the quantum field is existence and non-existence.
If I was president, I'd do everything.
Well, yeah, good luck.
I would have the Department of Relationships. I'd have the Department of Decision Making. I'd have the Department of Assertiveness. I'd have the Department of Motivation, Department of Insight, and Department of Humility. And you know what would be in the Department of Humility? NASA, because they're learning who we are and what we are. You know, if you think about it that way, it's what would be in the Department of Assertiveness.
Of Health too. That would be part of the Department of Humility, is the NIH. I'm Canadian.
Yep.
I got no skin in this. Well,
Yep.
I got a lot of skin.
That
in
would
the
be
game,
Department of Humility.
You know,
Assertiveness, I hope, would be education.
Yes. Or would it be part of humility?
It would definitely be part of humility.
So on that note, tune in next week at this time, because I mean, a big thank you to you for watching. A big thank you for leaving your comments after the show. Thank you, Timy, for bringing this to us. Thank you, Maru, for joining us, and Linda. Like, share, and subscribe, because all of the cool kids are doing it. And if
all
you
the super cool kids are doing
all the super cool kids,
Super extreme.
extreme, super cool.
Let's just have a Department of Happiness. Well, there you go.
Yay.
Ouch.
But
Embrace
again,
the
we have
tree,
that.
brother.
So we need a Department of Existence and a Department of Non-Existence.
Yeah. That
For
would
the
work.
things that shouldn't exist.
Yeah. I
There
wanted
you
to work for the Department of Non-Existence. I bet you they have better break rooms,
Parties. They have better parties.
happy hour.
But see, the Department of Non-Existence is the only one that exists. It's the Department of Existence that it non-exists.
Yeah. People don't show up for the meetings.
There you go. I do want to say thank you, and I really am glad to be able to share this space with everyone. This is a great concept. It's got me thinking. Thank you very much. Pay attention, and see you the next time. Bye.
Take it easy.